Welcome to the last set of new book releases for January. I'm Morgan. If you haven't been here before, there's going to be timestamps per genre we talk about, so feel free to go check out whichever ones are your favorite. First up this week is going to be fiction, starting with The Takeover by Kara Tanamachi. Sometimes when you ask the universe for your soulmate, you wind up with your hate mate instead. On Naomi's 30th birthday, she's reminded at every turn that her life isn't what she planned. She's always excelled at everything until now. Her fiancé blew up their engagement. Her pride and joy, the tech company she helped found, is about to lose funding, and her sister Sora is getting married to the man of her dreams, Jack. Instead of being happy for her, as she knows she ought to be, she's fighting off jealousy. Frustrated with her life, she makes a wish on a birthday candle to find her soulmate. Instead, the universe delivers her hate mate, Naomi's old high school nemesis, Jay Lee, the most popular kid from high school, who also narrowly beat her out for valedictorian. More than a decade later, Jay is still effortlessly cool, charming, and stylish as ever. And, to make matters worse, is planning a hostile takeover of Naomi's startup. Cue sharp elbows and even sharper banter as the two go head-to-head to see who will win this time. Next up is Good Material by Dolly Alderton. Andy loves Jen. Jen loved Andy. And he can't quite work out why she stopped. Now he is without a home, waiting for his stand-up career to take off, and wondering why everyone around him seems to have grown up while he wasn't looking. Set adrift on the sea of heartbreak, Andy clings to the idea of solving the puzzle of his ruined relationship, because if he can find the answer to that, then maybe Jen can find her way back to him. But Andy still has a lot to learn, not least of which is his ex-girlfriend's side of the story. And I do believe it's telling the relationship from both sides, so you really do get both sides. Then we have Interesting Facts About Space by Emily Austin. Enid is obsessed with space. She can tell you all about black holes and their ability to spaghettify you without batting an eye in fear. Her one major phobia? Bald men. But she tries to keep that one under wraps. When she's not listening to her favorite true crime podcast on loop, she's serially dating a rotation of women from dating apps. At the same time, she's trying to forge a new relationship with her estranged half-sisters after the death of her absent father. When she unwittingly plunges into her first serious romantic entanglement, Enid starts to believe that someone is following her. As her paranoia spirals out of control, Enid must contend with her mounting suspicion that something is seriously wrong with her. Because at the end of the day, there's only one person she can't outrun: herself. We move on into mystery with Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson. Now, this one follows the same character as the first book, Everyone in My Family Has Murdered Someone. Ernest Cunningham returns in a deliciously witty locked train mystery. When Australian Mystery Writers Society invited me to their crime writing festival aboard the Gone, the famous train between Darwin and Adelaide, I was hoping for some inspiration for my second book, fiction this time. I needed a break from real people trying to kill each other. Obviously, that didn't pan out. The program is a who's who of crime writing royalty. The debut writer, me. The forensic science writer, the blockbuster writer, the legal thriller writer, the literary writer, the psychological suspense writer. But when one of us is murdered, the remaining authors quickly turn into 5 detectives. Together, we should know how to solve a crime. Of course, we should also know how to commit one. How can you find a killer when all the suspects know how to get away with murder? I really want to read the first book. It's on my list. I need to get to it. Sounds so good. And then a horror book is actually gracing the list this week. The House of Last Resort by Christopher Golden. Across Italy, there are many half-empty towns, nearly abandoned by those who migrate to the coast or to cities. The beautiful, crumbling hilltop town of Bascina is among them, but its mayor has taken drastic measures to rebuild, selling abandoned homes to anyone in the world for €1 as long as the buyer promises to live there for at least 5 years. It's a no-brainer for American couple Tommy and Kate Puglisi. Both work remotely, and Bascina is the home of Tommy's grandparents, his closest living relatives. It feels like a romantic adventure, an opportunity the young couple would be crazy not to seize. But from the moment they move in, they both feel a shadow has fallen on them. Tommy's grandmother is furious, even a little frightened, when she realizes which house they've bought. There are rooms in an annex at the back of the house that they didn't know were there. The place makes strange noises at night. Locked doors are suddenly open, and when they go to a family gathering, there are certain people are whispering about them and about their house, which one of the neighbors refers to as the House of Last Resort. Our thriller this week is interesting because it's releasing on audio and ebook this week, but physically it's not out till June. It's The Murder After the Night Before by Katie Brent? Something bad happened last night. I've woken up with the hangover from hell, a stranger in my bed, and I've gone viral for the worst reasons. But I can't remember a thing. My best friend Posey is dead. The police think it was a tragic accident. I know she was murdered. There's only one thing stopping me from dying of shame. I need to find a killer. Our romance this week is Not in the Plan by Dana Hawkins. Free-spirited coffee shop owner meets uptight coffee addict. Is an opposites attract match brewing or burning? Crushed under the weight of writer's block and a looming deadline, Mac escapes from New York to Seattle. She meets Charlie, a beautiful, generous, and nearly bankrupt coffee shop owner recovering from heartbreak. For the first time, Mac has a muse. And then Mac starts using Charlie's private stories in her novel. When a storm traps Mac and Charlie in the coffee shop, they share a mind-bending, knee-shaking kiss. But Charlie is an eternal optimist who sleeps with fairy lights on, while Mac is an ironing at 5 a.m. warrior who sleeps with everyone. They could never turn this chemistry into something real, right? And if Charlie finds out what Mac has been doing, turning Charlie's most intimate secrets into a juicy page-turner, will they even have a chance to try? Getting into some YA fantasies, we have The Invocations by Crystal Sutherland. 3 girls, 1 supernatural killer on the loose. Zara Jones believes in magic because the alternative is too painful to consider. That her murdered sister is gone forever and there is nothing she can do about it. Rather than grieving and moving on, Zara decides that she will do whatever it takes to claw her sister back from the grave, even trading in the occult. Jude Wolfe may be the daughter of a billionaire, but she is also undeniably cursed. After a deal with the demon went horribly wrong, her soul has been slowly turning necrotic. It's a miserable existence, marred by pain, sickness, and monstrous things that taunt her in the night. Now that she's glimpsed what lies beyond the veil, Jude's desperate to find someone to undo the damage she's done to herself. Enter Emma Brine, an orphaned witch with a dark past and deadly power, aka the solution to both Zara and Jude's problems. Though Emma lives a hardscrabble life, she gives away her most valuable asset, her invocations, to women in desperate situations who are willing to sacrifice a piece of their soul in exchange for a scrap of power. Zara and Jude are willing, but first they have to find Emma. Next up, we have Secrets Evergreen by Sarah Knightley. The secrets were buried until clues began to bloom. Ivy Rune's only goal is to pass her final exam and become an arborist like her late father, even though she fears she'll never be able to uphold his legacy. Just before her big test, Ivy discovers her father's secret, and they had nothing to do with the quiet life he had. Suddenly, clues unspool from the wood carvings and old journals, leaving Ivy to the outskirts of town and straight to the Count's forbidden castle. When Ivy uncovers the hidden world of magic, she and her best friend are unexpectedly altered. As they explore their new powers, Ivy realizes she is capable of much more than the simple life her father left for her. And then the highly anticipated romantasy this week is The House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This one, of course, is the third in the Crescent City series that started with our characters Bryce Quinlan and Hunt Athalar investigating a series of murders where the supposed original killer has been behind bars when things start up again 2 years later after the horrible events that left Bryce quite traumatized. Their witty banter, oh my goodness, I loves it. Bryce is a half-fae female and Hunt is an angel. And it is an urban fantasy setting. This is a very modern city. They have cell phones and they have magic. But we're going to move on because we have other fantasies to talk about, starting with The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. For centuries, the Everleys have seen their best and brightest disappear, taken as punishment for a crime no one remembers, for a purpose no one understands. Their tormentor, a woman named Penelope, never ages, never grows sick, and never forgives the dead. Violet Everly was a child when her mother left on a stormy night, determined to break the curse. When Marianne never returns, Penelope issues an ultimatum. Violet has 10 years to find her mother or she will take her place. Violet is the last of the Everly line, the last to suffer, unless she can break the curse first. Up next is the first in the Luminosity trilogy, where all of the titles sound colorfully interesting. Our first book is Grieving Gold by Daniel McDaniel. 3 sun gods bathe the city of legends, Luminosity, in their blessed light. The city stands on the decaying ruins of an ancient civilization. Skeletal skyscrapers guard their solemn secrets of forgotten technology and past tragedies. But under the surface, the light dies and shadows begin. It is a dark god's domain, even caged, and he holds his grudges through the eons. 5 fates intertwine, thrown onto the currents of destiny and played like puppets. Will they be able to tear free from their strings? And deep down, below all, eldritch things stir in the night. Then we have the second book in the 5 Penalties trilogy, The Cage of Dark Hours by Marina Lassiter. The Helm of Midnight, its first book, was described as Hannibal meets Mistborn. a daring and deadly heist, thieves have made away with an artifact of terrible power. The death mask of Louis Charbon, made by a master craftsman, is imbued with the spirit of a monster from history, a serial murderer who terrorized the city. Now Charbon is loose once more, killing from beyond the grave. But these murders are different from before, not simply random, but the work of a deliberate mind probing for answers to a sinister question. It's up to Karna Haveroff and her fellow regulators to enter the mind of madness to stop this insatiable killer while facing the terrible truths left in his wake. I heard maybe it was slightly horror-tinted, but maybe we can try it and be okay. Maybe. Our last book ends on a bit of a lighter tone for you. It's the first book in the Tales of Lorlasler, The Crystal Spire by Nicole R. Taylor. In the last human city on dying Earth, Evelyn Carter lives a life of monotony, yearning for a spark of extraordinary. But a chance fall through a rift in reality transports her to Lorlasler, the realm of myth and forgotten magic. Here she encounters Finn, exiled from his world and carrying secrets of his own. As Evelyn grapples with her startling new reality, she finds herself drawn into Finn's quest to uncover the lost history of Lorlasler, the mysterious floating city, a legend filled with ancient fey magic and the history erased by time and war. With Finn as her guide, Evelyn embarks on a perilous journey through the world. Legends of the ancient artifacts, hidden relics, and the power to reshape destinies come to life as they battle against time and darkness, where the very future of Lorlasler hangs in the balance. I'm sorry, I probably kept saying that so much. It's like a tongue twister almost. I don't know how I'm supposed to blend those letters together. I'm sorry. That's going to be it for this week's list. Maybe you found something new and interesting to add to your TBR, or you're about to go run and binge read one of those continuation books. Can't say I blame you, or that I'm not about to be run with you. If you enjoyed this one, though, maybe you'll go check out one of my other videos and subscribe if you like my content. I hope you guys are finding something awesome to read today, and I'll see y'all in the next one.